It could be sticky note affirmations, right? That would be
I
work
love sticky
appropriate.
notes. I love sticky
Yeah.
notes. I use sticky notes for everything. I
Yeah.
always like to put this isn't for like a desk necessarily, but I like to do the affirmations on sticky notes and put them in the bathroom mirror because
Mm.
you can change them if you need to, and it's a
Yeah.
nice place that you're always going to use the sink in the bathroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome back to Unpacking the Closet, the Queer Joy editions. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Caitlin. This season, we're exploring how queer joy shows up, not just in moments of fun, but as something sacred, political, and deeply human.
Today we're talking about building tiny altars everywhere because sacred space doesn't have to look one way or fit a lot of room. It can live on your desk, in your car, in your phone, or in your heartbeat.
Oh, from desk crystals to queer tarot, from travel tins to ritual playlists, we're unpacking how meaning making is part of survival, resistance, and joy.
Yeah. I love that we're talking about redefining the word altar and sacred
Mm,
space through like a more
yeah.
modern lens because I think, if you're not in kind of like the witchy community, I guess, you might not. You think of altar in different ways. Like, if
Mm.
you come from a Christian Catholic background, that looks a very specific way at a church.
Or even
Or
Buddhism, they have
Buddhism,
altars very specific.
Hinduism, again, very specific altars with the deities and things like that.
Yes, absolutely. We're still talking the the core definition of an altar, right? A collection of items, objects, or spaces chosen with intention. So we're still thinking of something that serves a purpose in terms of personal or spiritual narrative, lived experience. It still could be religion. We're still going through that in this, but we're showing alternatives as well.
I when I think of having a home altar, I
Mhm.
mean, we have one for sure in the office. I'm looking at it now, but it's like for me, I guess it's more of like a collection of like those objects. And I think
Mm.
again the thing we're getting to here is the intention behind it.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I don't have a set religion or practice that I typically so I guess the tarot is maybe the closest thing to that I utilize more frequently, but I love having a set space where I can go and just sit and be in, some spiritual space, I guess, that
Mhm.
isn't connected to some like overarching religion.
Yeah. Yeah, I also have like a small space in our house. It's like in the corner of our living room where I actually filmed the tarot poll video today. Shh. I also don't know if I 100% am like, I believe in a specific religion or this one thing. I also like to do tarot. I take a lot of my beliefs from Buddhism just because they
Mhm.
closely aligned with what I believed anyway when I read about Buddhism. I like a lot of pagan and druid practices. So I'm kind of open spiritually, but my little space just has a little bit of everything, kind of like you, like has some crystals. It has a little like ceramic tiny ceramic bowl that I keep some money and like my fortune my
Oh, I
fortune
love that.
cookie my little fortune cookie things. When I really like one, I'll put it in there, like a feather. And then my little Buddhas. I have Buddhas that I ironically got from my Catholic grandparents, and my money tree in its little pot, and I don't know, a few other
Oh, I
things.
love a good money tree. Mine died.
Yeah.
I probably should get a new one.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with ours also. I don't know what's going on with it, and it makes me kind of sad because I'm like, you're my money tree.
Happens. Um, but I think that's kind of getting to, this is about turning everyday spaces into something sacred. And I don't
Hmm.
think it particularly matters what that looks like. I'm sure for people who have all an array of different beliefs or religions, even, that's going to look different. But I think it's so important to have like sacred space, especially in your home. And
Hmm.
there's like this difference between, I think, ritual, which is about intent and meaning behind something, whereas like something is like routine. Although,
Hmm.
however, if you get into like really religious studies, which I know you studied as well, ritual can be routine.
Yeah. They definitely can overlap for sure.
I
Yeah.
can't remember this article that I wrote. If I can find it, I will post it for Unpacking the Closet. But there was, I think it was in maybe an anthropology of religion class that I took, where there was this, you read this whole article about a ritualistic activity. And what they were essentially describing was someone's morning bathroom routine, like brushing your
Oh.
teeth and like all the things that go into that because of
Mm.
the way it was described. Anyway, it kind of defined ritual and how we describe things as being really important, like the intention behind it. Like if you're studying that from
Mhm.
an anthropological religious studies perspective, you might call that ritualistic.
Mm.
Whereas like everyday people aren't going to use those terms. That's not going to be considered like a ritual as we define ritual. It would be
Mm.
like a routine, like a daily routine.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of what I feel like we've mentioned this before, or at least you and I have talked about it before at the very least, but how much I love Thich Nhat Hanh and
Yes.
how much he talks about like how everyday things that you're already doing could be meditation practices that you can really utilize those times to meditate and stuff like that. And that's kind of exactly what he's talking about. You have normal daily things that you're doing or that you have to get done. You have to brush your teeth, you have to go to the bathroom, you have to eat, whatever you have to do. But there's no reason that that can't also help bring meaning or that you can't find some sort of ritual experience within doing that, right? And like
For
take the
sure.
time while you're doing it to be like really aware, like I'm brushing my teeth right now. And like really
Mhm.
like in that moment and like sit with it. You know what I mean? And that can actually help ground you for your morning. So absolutely.
I
Yeah.
absolutely. Something I suggest to clients a lot is, it's about that mindfulness piece too. So there's the spiritual and religiosity aspect to mindfulness that you can explore. And then there's like the mental health and wellness aspect of mindfulness, which can intertwine, but don't necessarily have to.
Yeah.
So something that I use a lot is that idea of like making my morning coffee. Is that a ritual? Yes. Is it also routine? Yes. Is it particularly spiritual? I mean, I guess it depends on who you talk to. Some people do have a whole spiritual routine with their coffee. That's not me, but some people have that. It's that act of like holding the cup and feeling the warmness and paying attention and being present and taking that
Hmm.
sip and savoring the taste and paying attention to how it feels in your mouth, on your tongue. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it sweet? And just kind of bringing that awareness to
Yeah,
it.
not having other things happening at the same time. Maybe
Hmm.
staying off of your phone, not turning the TV on. Maybe one of my things that helps me in the morning is to not turn lights on. I just let the house light up with the natural sunlight and I try to just like appreciate the light that I have as it comes, you know?
Well, there's a lot of science behind that too. I think with
Mhm.
that's why they have the alarm clocks that like gently wake you up with fake sunlight because the
Yeah.
body naturally will respond to the sun rising.
Right, right. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, for a lot of us, spirituality meant like picking up the fragments and deciding what still felt true after everything else fell away, right? For us in the queer community, especially, we weren't really given a lot of traditional sacred spaces. And so I think we're kind of hoping that this podcast can help you if you haven't already, or if you're looking for different ways to do it. Maybe this can help you figure out some ways to create your own, give you some ideas on how you could do that and where you could do that. We're going to go through a whole list of different ways, which I'm excited about.
Which and I think spirituality is like so complicated for queer folks as well cuz
Yeah.
and just in terms of like we weren't given the space. I mean, mostly in Western culture, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know we've talked about it on this podcast, but like queerness has had space in a lot of like native cultures, in Eastern cultures, and then Western cultures have kind of limited
Yeah.
that quite a bit, which is very unfortunate. But that's not to say that we can't. expand and learn and create our own, or, respectfully enjoy the rituals of those we learn about.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can we, I guess one of our first questions is like, how do you make a space, a ritual space, an altar, something that's going to bring you joy throughout your day, right? Even if it's not religious, when you don't have a lot of space or time, or where that space or time is very minimal. So we'll go through quite a few here. One of them would be like on your desk. Maybe you work from home and your desk is your only place you could potentially put it, or at work you're allowed to have some stuff on your desk, and you want to be really intentional with what those items are that you put on your desk so that it does kind of help you, because sometimes, especially if you have a desk at work, you're probably doing a lot of sitting and looking at a screen. So sometimes it's good to have some things that are going to pull you out of that. So things that you could put for that could be your coffee mug. We were just talking about how your coffee could be a thing for you. Maybe you have your coffee mug that makes you laugh or makes you happy when you look at it. And then you take those small moments in between working to really like sit and drink your coffee, take a few sips and not think about anything else except for your coffee, right? I mean, just to give your mind time to reset and relax. It could be sticky note affirmations, right? That would be
I
work
love sticky
appropriate.
notes. I love sticky
Yeah.
notes. I use sticky notes for everything. I
Yeah.
always like to put, this isn't for like a desk necessarily, but I like to do the affirmations on sticky notes and put them in the bathroom mirror, because
Mm.
you can change them if you need to, and it's a
Yeah.
nice place that you're always going to use the sink in the bathroom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What else could you put on a desk at work?
Some
A
people
small
like
plant?
the evil eye charms too.
Yeah, yeah. If your work is cool with that, I mean, only you know what you can and can't put, like what's
So
appropriate for
true.
your specific job. But if they're cool with things like that, absolutely. Yeah, a small plant that you could look at, heck, it could be fake. I don't care. I'm not the like real plant police. I'm not going to come and be like, "Pff, that's a fake plant." If having it on your desk makes you happy and it makes you think of green things and it makes your mind kind of think that you have a plant, why not? What a photo that makes you happy could serve as an altarpiece. Symbolic objects that create meaning in the design of workspace ritual, right? That like really are going to help you to feel better, make you be more aware of your thoughts throughout the day, just give you some positive feedback. Because sometimes at work, you can get a lot of negative feedback, especially on computer screens.
Well, and maybe it's not out on your desk. Maybe it's in a drawer. Or maybe
Absolutely.
or maybe even I'm thinking like for on the go kind of stuff, like having something in your wallet,
Mm,
even whether it's like a spiritual symbol, or you pulled a card and you carried that with you in your bag. Or I know a lot of folks that use crystals, and will
hmm
just carry those on them, or maybe in like um, an Altoid tin or something like that, just having that with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Some herbs in there,
Mhm.
little thing of sage or,
Mhm.
something like that. Absolutely. Yeah, you could keep that in a purse. If you don't carry a purse, like I don't carry a purse, you could keep that in your car in your little like
Mhm.
glove compartment or whatever. You could have it there. Um, yeah, you could get those little tiny, some people have the little tiny hanging plants that hang
Oh,
from the
those
little
are
rear view mirror.
fun.
Or, some people already do have things in their car that maybe they don't even think about it as like a tiny altar space, but essentially it is. You see people, folks who are religious with like the rosaries
Right.
hanging off their
Mhm.
rearview mirror
Mhm.
or prayer beads, Buddhism
Yeah,
prayer
prayer
beads.
beads. I do see the evil eye a lot
The
too.
evil eye.
I was even thinking, I know we talked a little bit about honoring the deceased and those who have
Mhm.
passed. I've seen it where people either put like stickers or photos in their car and just kind of like stick them to like the dashboard. Like if
Yeah.
you like commute to work, it's a nice way to kind of remember, or even like current people. It doesn't have to be folks that have passed away either, but it could be, or like Of course, keeping in mind what's safe for you. Maybe you have spiritual or religious beliefs that aren't as popular. Maybe having them in your car might not be the safest place, but I think that those are options if you feel safe and up for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. A nice bobblehead of the Pope, if you're Catholic, stick that on your dashboard.
A bobblehead of the Pope?
Yeah,
Do
you can
those
get them at
exist?
the
Do
Vatican.
people have those?
Yeah, I
If you
used
have
to
a bobblehead
actually
of the Pope, put it in the comments.
put it I know for sure you can get bobbleheads of, like, some saints, I think,
Oh,
in
wow,
Italy.
that's interesting.
And I would joke with my granny because my granny had this thing where, because she was Catholic, right? When we would go somewhere and we would have to park, like the mall or a restaurant or whatever, and we would need a parking spot. When we would start to get close or when we would get to the parking lot, she would out loud pray to Saint Anthony because he's the finder of lost things. And so she considered parking spots that you couldn't find a lost thing, right? It's there somewhere, you just can't find it.
Oh my
So she
gosh.
would pray to Saint Anthony, kind of jokingly. It wasn't like a full prayer. It was just like, all right, Saint Anthony, we need your help. We need a parking spot. And so when I found out that they would make bobbleheads in Rome of some saints or the Pope or, other things, funny things, I was like, I swear when I go to Rome, if I can find a Saint Anthony bobblehead, I'm going to buy it for you and I'm going to stick it on your dashboard in your car so you can talk to St. Anthony, like your little bobblehead St. Anthony. Unfortunately, they did not have him. I looked specifically for him and they didn't have him,
Aw,
but
but how
that's what it reminded
cute.
me of just now. We're talking about the car things.
I mean, this is a good point too. Like, it doesn't necessarily even have to be a physical altar space, but maybe it's a space that you can go to in your mind, or maybe something you can create. Funny story, like, considering I grew up Catholic, the one prayer that they would do when they, like, find the parking space was, Hail Mary, full of grace, help me find a parking space.
Okay. Yeah, see, my granny didn't do that one. That's
That's the
funny.
one that I remember people doing a lot.
But yeah, I've seen bobblehead Buddhas too, and I've seen people have that
I
in their
have
car.
seen the Buddha ones. Although we live in Dodger Town, so I see a lot of the Dodger players more so
Yeah, well, yeah.
than religious or spiritual bobbleheads. I see
Yeah,
a lot more
exactly.
of those, but it's LA, so. But I guess that's a good point too. Like, you don't have to have, like, it doesn't have to necessarily be a spiritual space either, but maybe something that brings you, like, a chosen family photo wall, or maybe an affirmation on your phone lock screen. I've seen those
Yeah.
a lot.
Or a
Even
collage on your phone.
yeah, collages. I did that one year. I did like I did like a physical, what is it? Vision board. I did a
Uh-huh.
physical vision board one year, and then I took a picture of it and it was my phone background.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see? So you could definitely have that. That's really great for, yeah, again, you have tiny spaces. Maybe you live in a shared space, so you can't really put up an altar somewhere like physically, but we all are always have our phones with us. So that's always something that you could have. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, and I think, like, again, it could look like anything, and it doesn't have to be particularly interesting to other people. This is for you. It's like you get to decide what's sacred.
Yeah. And it also doesn't necessarily have to be religious, right?
Hmm.
It could be a playlist that just brings you joy that like will take you out of a certain situation and help you reset or something. A favorite mug. I kind of mentioned that with the desk one. You already said, yeah, chosen family photo wall. What else? There's a lot of different things that could have significance to you that don't necessarily even have to be religious, that could still be considered an altar space or some sort of significant object or thing or space that will just help you to feel good and reset.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of goes into our next part, which is talking about community sacred spaces. So we
Mm.
talked a little bit about, like, physical altars.
Hmm.
But as we mentioned earlier, there is a lot of spaces that queer folks with disabilities, etc., have been, kicked out of. And so community spaces become really important
Mm.
when you're not made, there isn't space made for you in the general sense.
Yeah.
And so I think the community spaces are really important, like chosen family dinners. I think drag shows are sacred
Yeah.
spaces for our community because of the history of drag. Going to vigils for the unfortunate events that happen to often queer folks, even memorial spaces, they're all sacred spaces that are available.
Yeah, yeah. You could even think of like, again, thinking of maybe for some reason you can't physically go to those places. It's not safe for you. You're in a
Hmm.
specific area where you can't do that, or it's just not close to you. You just aren't close to anything like that. It could be digital spaces. You could participate in like a digital memorial, Instagram posts, TikTok rituals. Maybe you find a creator that really speaks to you that does those, or
Or
you start
maybe
doing them.
you want to join ours on Thursday
Yeah.
for our sacred space of tarot readings?
Yeah, Thursday mornings with us. But yeah, there's so many online spaces that you could find, community and collective joy that could help bring you that, even if you can't physically get to something like that.
Absolutely. I don't want to underestimate the importance of online community spaces. I think, especially right now, where maybe there aren't a lot of spaces that feel safe for people, depending on where you live. I mean, in Los Angeles, we're in a pretty good spot considering, but maybe there are other spaces or other states or communities or different places around the world where it's not safe. The internet can create a sacred space.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, just like always be smart and vigilant on the internet, but there's definitely a way to do that.
Use your best judgment.
Yeah.
Don't give out personal information that's unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but yeah, and then you also have like spiritual lineage and like honoring those. We kind of talked about this in our episode about Samhain, but
Hmm.
honoring those in your spiritual lineage, right? Maybe not even your actual bloodline, but those that were lost to like HIV and AIDS or violence or anything that love, taking those moments to think about that and honor them and their memory can become an altar
Absolutely. And I kind of really like this idea of creating that altar space, maybe even in your mind.
in your mind.
Yeah, because I mean, again, a lot of people don't have this space or the ability, and I don't want to also make it seem like for an altar that you have to have like some sort of money to because sometimes these religious or spiritual things are expensive. Like a tarot
Mhm.
deck can run like 20 something dollars at times, and that might just not be feasible, but that doesn't mean that you're not capable of using other items or maybe even using your creativity to create a space like an altar space or a sacred space could simply be your vision board.
Yeah.
Or, maybe it was a poem that your grandma wrote or
Mhm.
something. It doesn't have to be something expensive or,
Yeah.
innately spiritual. Maybe it's just sacred to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Things you've collected. I'm a collector. When we go on trips or we do significant things, I keep little trinkets from it. And I've been
Me
wanting to make like
too.
a shadow box. And I think that shadow box is like that, or a shelf or wherever you put them, even a box that you keep under your bed, opening that up and being able to look through it, that is a sacred space for you. It holds memory, it holds joy, maybe sometimes it holds sadness, but it's all things that you can go back through and look at and remember and feel.
Absolutely. Actually, now that we're talking about this, something else that I've done for a very long time is I save cards. So
Mm.
I save like birthday cards and different cards from people. Maybe not every single card that someone has sent me, but if I felt like, oh, this was like a very meaningful card or maybe I only got one card from that person or something, I'll have this tendency to keep it. And I used to keep it in a box, and now what I do is I actually bought like a card holder so I
Mm.
can flip through and like open it and look at the cards. So I've like folded them over so I can like just read what that person wrote. And some people are in my life still, and some people are not for various reasons, not just people passing, but like maybe we're not close anymore, whatever the case. And I have cards from like, I don't know, when I was like a teenager or
Aw.
younger. And so I have like a whole stack. And that's something that's very sacred to me because then I get to
Yeah.
remember those things. But, you know, didn't cost me very much, didn't take up a bunch of my time, isn't something that I have like particularly out and I look at all the time, but yet can create that sacred space when I look at those things.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say my mom actually just started this series on her TikTok channel where she's going over all the records that she has. She has so many
Oh,
records,
I
and she's
saw
going
that.
over,
It's so
yeah,
cute. Shout out to
yeah.
Caitlin's mom.
And I would say for her, maybe that, and maybe you're the same way. Music for my mom is her thing. She's not necessarily religious, but she's deeply connected to music.
Oh, music is
And
great. It builds so
yeah,
much community, has so much meaning.
yeah, and songs for her remind her of very specific points in her life and are associated with very specific memories. And so going back through right now, her record collection is kind of doing that for her. You know what I mean? Even if she doesn't think of it that same way,
Oh,
it's
I
kind of
love
the same
that.
idea.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
guess like creating your own sacred space is very unique to each
Yeah.
individual. And I love the idea that no two sacred spaces are going to look the same.
As it should be, as no two human beings are exactly the same. You know, your altar space should be different from somebody else's because you are, and they're all equally beautiful, as are you.
End of podcast. Just
End of
kidding.
podcast. Done. But yeah, so I guess maybe we should go into like some practical steps of how to create some altars that could fit different various lives and spaces and identities and stuff like that. Again, you don't have to have a physical one, but if you're looking for some tips on how to build it, we'll just quickly go through a few things that we do or that we think we could be helpful. Like we said, start small. Doesn't have to be something that you go out and buy right now. It could be things you already have, photos, a stone you picked up because it was pretty, your favorite mug, a playlist that makes you happy, and just have it somewhere where you're going to see it or where it's easily accessible for you.
And I think playing off of that, like it can be small and we can also design transitions with that. So maybe your altar is your car's rear view mirror. So maybe that's where you put the sticky note. Maybe it's like, I belong. And that's something that you see on your dashboard or something. Obviously, be safe. Don't put it where you can't see anything out of your rear view mirror. So a very small sticky note if that's the case. But I think it's
Right.
also like okay to switch up your altar space as well as your energy shifts, as the season change. Like nothing has to be stagnant.
So, yeah, we did kind of already go through, I guess, how to build those, but I'll just do a real quick recap.
Do it.
Desk at work, just make sure it's work appropriate, things that your work are going to be okay with you having on your desk. Anyway, okay. So yeah, just make sure that it's like work appropriate, but it could be everything. Your quotes that you like or affirmations on sticky notes, a plant, you know, your mug on a little electric mug warmer. I think those are so cool.
That's amazing. I need one.
Yeah, you can have little electric mug warmers and then you can just set your mug on it and it keeps it warm. I know. I know.
That's amazing. Okay,
I
looking
know.
into that after this.
I love people's brains, right? They come up with the best things. Best things. Yeah, car altars. Like we said, you could put stuff on your dashboard. It could just be a playlist. I have a manifestation playlist. Actually, tell me in the comments if you guys are interested in a manifestation playlist and you're like, I do not want to go build one. I don't want to have to look for songs. I've been doing it for over a year now, like slowly collecting these songs. It's taken me a long time. I'm at like over 2 hours of manifestation music now, almost 3 hours, I think, on my
Oh,
playlist.
I
So
love that.
yeah, if you or if our listeners, if that's something that you guys would like and you want me to share my Spotify playlist with you, I would be glad to. We could put it as a post on one of our on our socials or
Maybe
something,
we
or we could put it
should.
on, yeah,
Let's do
because
it.
yeah, because I think that's a great way. When I go to work in the morning, I will put that on I'll put my manifestation playlist on, I'll sing along to it. I notice my mood shifts on the days that I do that. And I have a better day on the days that I do that. So yeah, it could be as simple as a car playlist. If you have a tiny apartment, maybe something that's just, like we said, easy to carry around, something that you can put away easily. Maybe it's on your phone, photos, notes, a lock screen, a collage, whatever, can all be stuff that you could do relatively easily. That could all be there.
I
I don't know.
love that.
I
No,
know
I
what I
love
mean.
that. I agree. And also, I think bottom line is having like a sacred space or a ritual doesn't require that you have any special
Mm-mm.
items or incense or crystals. I mean, those are great if you want
Yeah.
them, but it's really about setting the intention for the space.
Yes.
So if it's a sacred car ride or, on your phone and you're spending 60 seconds in the morning, being present with your coffee counts.
Yes, absolutely. And it also, I think it's important to say, especially right now in the age of social media, especially for our younger listeners or even the millennial listeners, because we fall into this trap a lot, it doesn't have to be aesthetic. I think we
Mhm.
all think everything in our lives has to be aesthetically pleasing because we're so used to being fed that on socials. But this does not have to be an aesthetic thing. It just has to be meaningful for you. It's not for other
1000%.
people. Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah. So we would love to know, like, what's one small space in your day that you could turn into a sacred moment this week? We would love to hear your thoughts about that in the comments. Let us know what you would be doing. Maybe you light a candle before you send an email safely, please. Maybe you play a song when you plug your phone in at night. Whatever it is, just remember your joy, your identity, your ritual matters.
Keep showing up even when it's messy. We'll see you next time in the closet.